Hi there! In this video I'm gonna be talking about my little record collection. I thought today that I'd list my favorite artists or groups, you know. Then I thought it's kind of boring and, who cares and what does that tell about anything and what am I to say? I can obviously I can list my personal favorites, but it's really hard for me because they change each day. So then I thought that, I would still want to make a video of some sorts, that sort of video. And I came up with this idea. I don't know if anybody's done that, probably some people have, but anyway, to list my most collected artists. And there might be some surprises, might not be, but there's about 10 artists or groups in my list over here, and I'll have the numbers of the releases by them that I have in my collection. And keep in mind, these are just the vinyl album releases. I didn't list any singles, 7 inches or CDs. And if there's a box set, that counts as one, even if it had 15 discs. I don't care, I just counted it as a one object. So, I have about 10 artists over here, and I thought that it would be fun to talk with you about them, and you get a little idea of what I like to collect. And also, these are just rock groups or artists, I didn't list any other genres. I have a lot of, some soundtrack albums, and then I have some electronica, a bunch of Jean-Michel Jarre albums and stuff like that, that would probably make it to the list, but I excluded those because I wanted to just concentrate on the rock and roll, genre, because that's what I've been talking mostly on this channel about anyway. So my most collected group of all time is the Beach Boys. I have 60 different releases by them, and I mentioned this again, I didn't count CDs, so I have a bunch of CDs as well, but I didn't count them for this list because they wouldn't really change the scale in any direction, because I have about the same, in similar capacities, those CDs by these groups as well, so they wouldn't really flip the scale in any different direction anyhow. So I just made it easier for me and just counted the vinyls because I have them on display, and the CDs I have boxed away because I rarely listen to them. So 60 releases by the Beach Boys, and that does include a lot of multiple copies of same albums, different pressings and sorts, and it has multiple box sets, but it doesn't have any solo material, so solo stuff is excluded. But that's quite a lot, and even though I have 60 releases by them, I still don't have every studio album by them. For example, I'm missing out still the Christmas album, which I hope to be able to find for this Christmas, because it would be so great to review that on December, finally. I've been searching for that one at least 10 years, but I've never seen it anywhere. I think I saw it once in New York, but it was so expensive that I didn't buy it. The records over there were just so overpriced. But yeah, very hard to find over here. But I started to collect Beach Boys albums, I guess in 2012, when, That's Why God Made the Radio was released. So it's kind of started from there, and it's just kind of gone over the hill, I guess, Maybe a tad too much, I don't know, but I still like to collect them. I like to get original pressing of All Summer Long, for example. I'd like to get a great quality pressing of Love You, because I have 2 copies of it, and both of the covers are just so beaten. They are in such a bad shape, so I'd like to get a good quality copy of it. And I'd like to get stereo version of Wild Honey, and so the list goes on, and I'm still lacking a lot of compilation albums. So I'm actually including compilations and studio albums over here as well. But I don't really collect compilations that much. But if I see one, cheaply priced, I do pick it up usually if I don't have it already. But just for like comparison, I have only 5 releases by the Beatles. So like, the scale is pretty like 5 releases of Beatles and 60 by the Beach Boys. It's crazy. And a little story actually about the Beatles releases. I used to go to this record store, which I thought it was really nice. It probably still exists in London. I used to go there all the time and bought a bunch of vinyls from there, and the owner was really nice, friendly, and there was always cool music playing. And I got a bunch of Beatles, like I think 2 or 3 of these Beatles releases are from there, and some Bowie stuff and some maybe something else as well. A few years back, as I was kind of archiving these materials, putting them up on Discogs, each release and all the information, I was so bummed out to learn that those vinyls that I've bought from that place are like 80-90% of them are pirate copies. It pissed me off so much and lost a lot of respect for that store. I used to go there for like multiple years, and there's just no excuse for that. I'm not gonna go there anytime again. It just makes me so sad, I wanna buy albums that are legit, and I want to know that the money goes to the right direction. I don't collect bootlegs, and even though these pirates that I now have in my collection, they sound good, but I have no idea what the master was. It probably was like a CD or something, and it just makes me sad. It just doesn't feel right. I know a lot of people wouldn't really care about this, but I do, and I feel cheated. And yeah, I mean, there's the whole record business, and those stores, those real record stores are like, it's a tough business. They are not doing well. A lot of them are have disappeared. There's not many left, and a business that kind of like disguises themselves as a legit record store, and then they sell pirates. They kind of make me disgusted. So whatever. But anyway, yeah, I got like Abbey Road, Sgt. Pepper, Heroes by Bowie. At least those 3 are all just pirates that I have in my collection. So I should get proper releases at some point. But let's move on. David Bowie, I got 16 releases, including one box set that I forgot to list over here. So 16 by David Bowie. I got like most of his studio albums. I don't have the EP that was released after Black Star, and I don't think I have any not live albums by him, and I'm missing out some of like the first releases by him. So his first album, and then 2 or 3 of the early albums after the first one. So I'm still missing out a few, but after that I have most of his albums. Leonard Cohen is then on the 3rd spot with 15 releases. I got all his studio albums except Dear Heather, which is very hard to find and never come around to it. Never seen it anywhere. But otherwise, I got all his albums. Then number 4 is Brian Wilson. So I got 14 releases by Brian, and that does include multiple, like same copies of same album. So I have 2 copies of At My Piano, 4 copies of his first studio album, and then maybe I think that's it. I probably don't have I got No Peer Pressure 3 times, but 2 of those are on CD, so that doesn't count. But yeah, I'm missing. I just wasn't made for these times. The soundtrack and imagination. I think I just wasn't made for these times. The documentary soundtrack was released on a vinyl. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't have that. I have it on CD, but I'd love to own it on vinyl. Imagination, I imagine, wasn't probably released ever on vinyl, but I'm not sure. But anyhow, I would love to have it on vinyl because I think it's one of Brian's best solo albums. It's a great album and it really would deserve a re-release. Yeah, but anyhow, let's move on. Then I already forgot which spot this is. I think fifth, maybe. Grateful Dead. I got 10 releases by Grateful Dead. Not all of their studio albums. I'm lacking their early work. So I got their albums starting from 1970. So Working Man's Dead, American Beauty, and then most of their other 70s albums as well. I don't have Terrapin Station, and maybe one other I'm lacking. I can't remember. But then I got all of their later studio albums, from the 80s, and then their last one. And I got maybe 1 or 2 live albums by them. But I would love to get all of their studio albums, really love them. And then I got Bee Gees with 9 records. They are all, I believe, studio albums. I included Saturday Night Fever soundtrack, by the way, because it's kind of, well, it's not really a Bee Gees album, but it kind of is, so I included it. Maybe I shouldn't have, but it wouldn't really flip the scale in any direction anyhow, whether I included it or not. But yeah, well, Bee Gees is one of those groups that I'm trying to collect all of their studio albums. Oh, we only have one anymore. Bruce Springsteen with 7 releases. I think I have all of his studio albums from his first one all the way to Tunnel of Love. Maybe I'm missing something. I'm not really sure. I'm missing one, Darkness on the Edge of Town. So that would make it 8, I think. But anyhow, yeah, like after that one, I don't have so much interest for his stuff, I'm not saying that they're not good, but it's like when it comes to the 90s and 2000s for Springsteen, his music kind of started to find a certain way, a certain sound, and then because like his early work, those first 7 or 8 albums, they all sound kind of a little different, and there's a lot of experimentation. I love, the contrast between Nebraska and Born in the USA, for example, and that creativity behind that whole era and all that stuff, but when it comes to the 90s, he sort of started his released albums, they sort of just started to sound the same, more or less. There are obviously some different projects here and there as well, and I love, for example, his 2008 album Magic. I think it's 2008 or 6, but anyway, the Magic album, I really love that, and that's one that I would like to own on vinyl as well. And there are some others as well. I really liked his not the latest one, but I think it was Western Heroes, Western Stars. I think it was Western Stars, that album. I love that album, American Heroes. What? But anyway, like he has a bunch of other albums as well, but yeah, like the early ones are amazing. But yeah, that's it. I got then a bunch of artists and groups that I only got 1, 2, or 3 albums from. Like for example ZZ Top, I should have like all of their albums, but I think I only got 2. So that's something that I will be collecting in the future more. And Beatles as well is one of those groups that I'd like to get a little bit more. But I don't have a need to collect all the Beatles albums. I'm not a huge fan of their earlier work, prior Rubber Soul. Don't hang me for this little anecdote over here. But I'm just not the biggest fan of their earlier work. And the Who, I only got one album by the Who, and it's weird because I love a lot of singles by the Who, but I just don't really feel their albums in the similar way. Like, I've tried here and there to listen to their full albums, but just haven't really gotten into them so much that I'd like to collect all of them. But I should really give them another chance. Rolling Stones, I have 0 albums. Right now everybody's really hyping up the new album. I tried listening to it while I was driving. I listened maybe half of it. Really liked it. I thought it was okay, but didn't really make me go like, yeah, I need to pick this up. So Rolling Stones is just one of those groups that I really like. I like their singles, I like their hits, and I've never heard a bad song by them, but it doesn't make me go. It doesn't touch me so much that I really go to a store and put my money on the table and get their releases. It just doesn't make me do that. I don't know why, but that's just a weird thing because I cannot really like I seriously cannot in any rational way explain to anybody why I got 60 releases by the Beach Boys when the Beach Boys they have I think 27 or 28 studio albums. So why I have 60 releases by them, I don't know. There's no possible way to explain that rationally to anybody. So there you go. That's it. Would you like to have you collected any of these artists? What do you think of them? Would you like to hear me talk about any of the other ones as well besides the Beach Boys? Let me know in the comment section below. Thanks for watching. Take care. Bye bye.